Thanks for choosing us today. Now, a quick reminder, Village Square Africa is now Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. West African time. Now to the business of the day. Now, earlier this year, former South African State Security Agency boss Arthur Fraser leveled serious allegations against President Ramaphosa when he walked into a police station to file criminal complaints. Now, Fraser said a robbery had taken place at the president's Phala Phala farm in Limpopo, during which the thieves made away with $4 million hidden on the farm. According to Fraser, the president failed to report the incident to appropriate authorities. Instead, he had the thieves pursued even to neighboring Namibia, interrogated, and then paid hush money. Although the president has admitted there was a robbery at his farm, he has denied any wrongdoing. Since this information came to light, Ramaphosa has been at the center of multiple probes looking into what crimes the president may have committed. The latest is the Section 89 panel activated after the opposition ATM filed in Parliament to have the conduct of Ramaphosa investigated for his possible removal from office. Now, the panel has since been collecting statements and pieces of evidence about the incident. Now, last weekend, President Ramaphosa responded to questions from the panel, once again denying any wrongdoing. So what's next here? Let's have a conversation on the back of that. With me on the program today are Themba Godi. He is former chairman of Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts. And we also have Ntsikelelo Breakfast, who is political analyst attached to the Department of History at the Nelson Mandela University. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the square.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. Now, when we look at the beginning of events up until now, first I'll start with you, Breakfast. What are your thoughts on how things have panned out so far?
So I think of all people, one does not expect the president to be accused of lack of accountability, largely because he ascended to power on a ticket of good governance against the background of state capture. But at the moment, he has been found wanting on matters of accountability. I'm not talking about whether he's guilty or not. That's a separate matter. Because when he was brought before Parliament, he did not answer the question. He had to be brought back again for the second time. So I think he does have a case to answer because there are gaps in his explanation in terms of what had happened on his farm. We don't know how much money was found on his farm. We don't know whether he had a permission to keep a large amount of money on his farm or not. But also the suspicion is that what might have been the reason for the suspension of the head of his security. So these are some of the questions that people are grappling with, that there seems to be more to this than meets the eye. But at the same time, I don't want to be embroiled in the factional battles of the ANC. I also cannot turn a blind eye to some of the political dynamics at play, given the fact that there is an upcoming conference of the ANC just around the corner. So the timing in which one unleashes an attack determines the outcome of the war. So in as much as the president does have to answer about what had happened, but also I think this is used to take a swipe at him that he is not living up to the expectations of many people. No wonder some of the presidential contenders within the ANC have been taking a swipe at him.
Very well. Now we'll look at this is that dynamic in a moment. But let me go to Themba now. Themba, what do you think about how events have panned out over the last few months since Fraser first made a complaint against the president?
Well, I think that the president has not done himself any favors in the way he has responded. Maybe because he has indeed been caught with his proverbial pants down. I wouldn't be sure, but he has not acted in a way that has inspired confidence, has not given a sense to the public that he has his facts. And, you know, as a president of the country, you would not want any distractions. You would want to have that issue quickly resolved so that you can focus on the job at hand. I think he has come across as obfuscating, like all other challenging issues that have come before him since he became president. He has not come across as somebody who is ready to open up and somebody who is confident about his story, as somebody who wants to reinforce this image of a transparent, open, engaging leader. He has instead reinforced the fact that he has something to hide.
Very well. Now, the panel has 10 days within which it's supposed to deliver its conclusion based on its investigation. Breakfast, how critical are these 10 days to the president?
Sorry, I missed your question.
Well, so I was saying that we know that the panel has 10 days within which to conclude its investigations into the matter. My question now is, how critical are these 10 days, not only to the panel, but also to the president?
Yeah, I'm struggling to hear you, but I presume that they're talking about the investigation that is underway. So I think the independent panel committee that has been instituted is basically meant to uncover the truth about what had happened. I have faith in all those people. I think they are, men of and women of integrity. Cannot cast any aspersions on them. And I think the findings will determine whether is there a need to institute some legal charges against the president, but also the findings will also determine whether is there room to pass a motion of no confidence against the president or to impeach him. So those findings will give rise to a lot of political developments surrounding the political prospects of the president.
Themba, you say that the president has not done himself any favors by not opening up. What should he have done? And is it too late for him to open up?
Too late maybe, because, as a follow-up to your earlier question, the implications for him are huge. Firstly, at a political level, because his own party is having a conference where he's contesting for leadership soon. Secondly, because if the panel finds that he has a case to answer, it means that Parliament must set up a committee and everything must be ventilated in public. He must go and give, evidence. So my take will be that the moment the issue was raised, because there is no case that is before the courts, it was an opportunity for him to come out clean and clarify everything to the public. Because as a political leader, the legal aspects are one element, but the court of public opinion for him politically is much more important than even the legal process. So he has missed that opportunity to explain himself and has allowed, therefore, a lot of rumors to fly around, which has finally led to this panel, because I'm sure if he had opened up and put his side of the story, especially if he's not as guilty as he claims he's not, then I'm sure even the opposition parties would have realized that, well, there is no strong case here for the Section 89 committee. But the mere fact that he has not been forthcoming, it had led to the suspicion that maybe there is a need to engage in this process. So he has not done himself any favors, and unless the facts clear him, I think in terms of managing the crisis or the process or the issues, I think he has not done himself any favors.
Very well, Breakfast. We know, earlier you mentioned the ANC and what the implications could be for the December elections. Let's dig down on that. The president is looking to lead the ANC again so he could get a second term in office. With all of these all of these things going on, how do you think it could affect his chances?
at the moment, when I look at all the presidential contenders, he stands a good chance to win the upcoming conference of the ANC, so long as he is not formally charged, because the step-aside principle of the ANC says if you are formally charged, then you cannot stand for any position in the ANC. I was watching an interview of Dr. Ntsikelelo yesterday, and he confirmed that if the president has been charged, he will not be able to stand in the conference of the ANC. So the findings of the public protector alongside the findings of the independent panel will also determine what is going to be the way forward. But also we've seen the former presidents of the ANC taking a swipe at him, saying that of all people, they don't expect him to drag his feet in terms of answerability. But of course, there are different understandings and interpretations in terms of what should be the role of former presidents, because some people say that they should have raised those issues behind closed doors. But at the same time, you have another contender for chairmanship, former President Zuma, who's also punching some holes in some of the weaknesses of President Ramaphosa.
But does it appear to you, Breakfast, that the ANC is serious about doing something about this? Looking at the fact that the allegations have been there for a while now, and they had not activated their integrity committee to look into this until now. So my question is, do you think the ANC, Breakfast, is looking seriously into this matter internally? Hello, Breakfast, can you hear me?
I missed that. So I think the president at some point was brought before the integrity committee to answer about the allegations on Phala Phala. You see, the problem, in my opinion, is that because the ANC will be holding a conference just around the corner, almost everyone has a vested interest in terms of the electoral outcomes of that conference. So you will not come across anyone who is objective. Even those people in that integrity committee, they have biasness in terms of who they support and who they don't support. Even yesterday, when I was watching that interview of Dr. Ntsikelelo, I could see that he's gravitating towards the side of the president. So I don't think that there is some kind of objectivity that will come out of that integrity committee. I think the only institutions that I have faith in, it's those ones that are outside the ANC. But even those ones, I mean, we've seen the security apparatus also being embroiled in the factional battles of the ANC, because the past is still with us. There are people who are still loyal to former President Zuma, but at the same time, there are people who are also loyal to the president. So it's a mess, you know, in as much as the president does have a case to answer, but also I must emphasize that there are political dynamics at play. If you look at the timing in which this story broke, it was broken at a strategic time to influence public perceptions and also to influence the possible electoral outcomes of the upcoming conference of the ANC.
Well, but who would be interested to bring down the president? Do you have any ideas based on what you have just told us? Breakfast, did you hear me? It was a follow-up to you based on what you have said regarding the timing of the accusations coming out. Who would be interested really to bring down the president because of party elections and possible the presidency?
Yeah, I'm very sorry. I'm struggling to hear you. But I think you're talking about the divisions within the ANC.
No, I'm not. I'd come back to you with that question again. Perhaps you'll be able to hear me better then. But let's take the conversation to Themba now. Themba, I'd ask you the same question regarding whether or not this could affect the chances of Ramaphosa in the ANC elections. What do you think?
Yeah, look, in any political party, if there is a conference and a contestation, your opponents will use any issue that might paint you in a negative light. So I would imagine, and our observation here is that the majority party is deeply divided, and the president is being contested seemingly by an array of people. So there are, of course, issues that will be raised, and this very one is one of the major issues that are being raised. Like we've seen two former state presidents recently in the past few days have raised the fact that it can't be that they must go to their conference whilst there is no clarity on the Phala Phala issue. So it is indeed an issue that the president would have wished it has gone away, and it's an issue that his opponents are using against him. So that's why I said, for me, he should have attended to this matter right from the beginning so that by now it is not an issue. But unfortunately, it is one of the focal points of the contestation within his organization. So yes, it is part of his Achilles heel going to the conference.
Former President Thabo Mbeki has asked the ANC to prepare for fallouts from this Phala Phala investigation. Themba, tell us, what could the possible fallouts be here?
Well, look, the panel is going to make a determination in about 10 days' time. And what former President Mbeki was talking to is that if that panel comes out and say, yes, there is prima facie evidence against the president, it raises huge political challenges for the president. And this is going to be somewhere in the third week of November. And the majority party will be having its Congress, I think, its conference in three weeks' time from then. So if there is any negative finding against the president, then it creates huge political ramifications within the party. So what President Mbeki was referring to was that has the majority party asked itself the question, what do we do in case the panel of experts come out and say there is a prima facie evidence? Because what it means is that Parliament must then set up a committee that is going to call the president, call witnesses to come and ventilate on the issue. Now, can you have a president whose attention is taken away from the work of the state to focus on personal issues? How does this then cast the organization, since he came on the ticket of being wealthy, and therefore he's going to do right by the party and the state, and here he is found to have been guilty in a worse sense than any other president? To what extent does this then tarnish the image of the party going forward? I think those are the considerations that President Mbeki is talking to.
Very well. So, Breakfast, earlier I was asking you, I mean, who could be interested in bringing the president down when he's facing a critical elections next month? You were saying that this could be the doings of some people considering the timing. So tell us more. I do not believe Breakfast can hear me, and we're talking about Ramaphosa's submission to the Phala Phala Section 89 panel. When we come back, we'll look a bit more at the implications, what the next steps could be, and some culpability with some other people that the committee may be interested in. Stay with us here on Village Square Africa. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Square. We are discussing the allegations of misconduct brought against South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. With me are Themba Godi, he's former chairman of Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts, and Ntsikelelo, who is political analyst attached to the Department of History at the Nelson Mandela University. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time here once again. But Breakfast, I'll come to you with this. The last two predecessors of Ramaphosa were also jostled out of power when they lost the mandate at the party elections. Really, and you make the point about an interesting timing. Based on that history, what reading are you making into, what's happening to South Africa's modern history?
First of all, I'm not quite sure what the former presidents of the ANC are up to, largely because they normally articulate their views behind closed doors. But this time around, they've broken ranks. I want to look at them at a glance, one by one. Former President Mbeki, he said when he was voted out of power in 2017 at Polokwane that he was not going to comment on domestic issues. He was going to focus on international relations because he respected his predecessor, Jacob Zuma. And all of a sudden, of late, he has been showing a change of heart by commenting on domestic issues. So I don't know what is he up to. Is he taking a swipe at the president because he's concerned about the direction that the ANC is taking? Is he critical of the president because he's trying to promote renewal? Or is he critical of the president because he also had a strategic interest in terms of the upcoming conference of the ANC?
Well, he says
Jacob Zuma. I think it's quite clear what he's up to because he's also contesting for chairmanship. So I understand his agenda. But during the time of Jacob Zuma, we did not hear a lot of former presidents, breaking ranks, in particular with regard to the issue of Nkandla.
I just wanted to say that former President Mbeki had made clear that his only interest is the reputation of the ANC. What do you think about that response? Does that work for you based on what you have told us already? Well, Breakfast can't hear us again, so I'll move on with the conversation. Themba is still on the Zoom with us. Themba, you had my questions to Breakfast about what appears to be happening, particularly with the ANC. President is in office, and there seems to be a situation where they are jostled out of office. What would you say based on your experience?
No, look, what is happening now, there is nothing unusual. I do recall that when President Zuma was in office, there was a time when President Mbeki and President Motlanthe openly criticized him. And I think they were joined by the last president of the Whites, de Klerk. They openly criticized him. Towards the 2017 conference, even Ramaphosa, who was Zuma's deputy, went public criticizing President Zuma. So what is happening today, it's nothing unusual. And in all instances, President Mbeki, Motlanthe, in relation to Zuma, and even now, their main concern was what they regarded as established practices within their organization. So from where I'm standing and looking at the facts, there's nothing unusual. It's something that has happened before. It is happening now because they believe that things could be done differently. Except that in this particular instance, we have never had a president who was accused of such grievous crimes as the current president. It is unprecedented. It's something that has not happened in the country before. It's a new experience. But the ANC has always been divided. I'm sure it is the norm in in all political parties. It is these divisions playing themselves out in the public. And with the stakes so high, the niceties of discussing it behind closed doors, I think, has long gone out of the window. It is the court of public opinion that is being sought. It is to sway the branches of their party so that come Congress, they could emerge victorious.
Very well. Now, multiple investigations are going on concurrently, yet very little is known about this case as far as the public is concerned. Is it about time that some of these investigating bodies speak to the South African people?
Very true. You will recall that the Reserve Bank has sent questions to the president because having American dollars, he might have violated exchange regulations. He asked for a postponement, which was granted, but we don't know what has happened to that. They have been quiet about what responses he has given. The public protector, in terms of the ethics code for the executives, she should have produced that report in 30 days. But right now, it's already more than 120 days since the case was, was reported. And then you ask yourself, because she comes from the majority party, was an active youth league member, is she making political decisions not to comply with the law in terms of timeframes? Then you also have the police, their investigations. You know that the National Police Commissioner has just recently been promoted by President Ramaphosa. So the question arises, are these structures dragging their feet so that it does not come before Congress? If anything, it should, whatever their outcome, it should come after the conference, because if the outcomes were to happen now and there are negative findings, it will certainly have implications for his standing in their Congress.
What brings me to my question, Themba, about the Democratic Alliance calling on international bodies like the FBI to help investigate the matter, bordering on the trust it has for the local investigating bodies who are already looking into the matter. Is that call necessary?
Well, maybe the question is that call genuine, because that party for the white people in South Africa is the strongest backer of President Ramaphosa. And you can see even now with the Section 89 process, they have not made any submissions as a party. So that call was quite strange and surprising. But interestingly, as you have noted, they have not made any follow-up since they made the announcement that they are going to ask for the Americans to assist. But directly to your question, no, I wouldn't want the Americans to put their noses in the affairs of our country, nor in any affairs of the continent, because their interests have always been contrary to the interests of the African people in this continent. I believe that the structures that we have in the country should be sufficient to probe the matter, whether it is the Reserve Bank, whether it is the revenue authorities, whether it is the public protector, whether it is the police, or it is the parliamentary process. I think the facts will easily come out. Whatever political decisions may be taken by anybody at any point, it will not detract from the fact that the public will know what the facts are. And for me, that is what is important, because what we want is that the public should know. We must raise the consciousness of our people so that whenever they take decisions politically during elections, they must do so informed, understanding what is in their interest and what is not, more than any other thing.
9 days from now, if things go as planned, will be a very critical time in the life of not only Ramaphosa, but also South Africans. What is the one advice, if you had the opportunity to give the president, you will give him?
Well, look, I firmly believe that he has been caught with his pants down. There's this obfuscation that is taking place. I think that he must just, graciously leave the stage, because look, the panel report is not the end of the story. It's actually the beginning of the story, because if the panel say he has a case to answer, they must take this to Parliament. Parliament will look at it. Parliament can either agree or disagree. So if his party decides that they don't agree, they have a majority, they can vote the report of the expert panel down. But even if they don't, then a committee must be established. That committee will deliberate, write a report, and take it back to Parliament. And Parliament must vote with a 2/3 majority if he's going to be removed. So politically, his party can decide whether they want him out or not. If they don't, still, he can still survive. But the key issue is the court of public opinion and what it will mean for him and his party if he is found guilty and yet his party decides to shield him.
Themba, I appreciate your time. And Breakfast, I apologize that the line has not been favorable to us today, but I do appreciate your insights on the subject today. If you just joined us, well, you missed the show today. Village Square Africa brought you a conversation about Ramaphosa's Phala Phala scandal. And I had a conversation with Themba, Godi and Ntsikelelo. Breakfast. Thank you once again, gentlemen. Also, remember that Village Square Africa now is 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday here on News Central TV. I appreciate your company as well. My name is Kemini Amano. See you same time tomorrow, right here. Goodbye.